Thank you for being here. It's a busy book fair, and for having, this conversation with us. I hope it will be an interactive one. So our panel today is about inclusion and accessibility in different contexts. And in order to talk about that, we have our guests from the invitation program, Monica from Mexico, from Alboroto Publishing House, Sahar from Iran, Tutti Books, and Lulu from Brazil, Mil Caramiolas Publishing House. So we have three strong women. They will be talking about this subject, but first of all, they have to introduce themselves. So we prepared a short presentation about their publishing houses so that you know who they are, what they do, and then we'll have a conversation with them. So, Monica, yes. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. Can you help me? Don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to be just without lights, with all lights, just for a minute. You're going to help me because I feel better speaking Spanish, really. Quiero que imaginen la oscuridad.
So imagine
no hay luz, no hay luz ahorita, pero hay niños que no tienen luz siempre.
So there's, it's dark for us now, and at this very moment, but there are children who never have light.
You know, their life. So just imagine how difficult it is to them to go to school, to eat, and to read. And no one are thinking about them. We are writing books, and we are designing many books, wonderful pictures, pictures that they will never be allowed to see, and we are not thinking about them, so they are not even allowed to touch. So my name is Monica. I'm Carrie about them, yes? Mm-hmm. And I decided to do something that no one have done before. It's making illustrations for people who are sight. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy. It's never easy to be the first one. I began this 15 years ago with the black book for colors that is over some table there. And since then, I continue making braille illustrations. It's never easy to get understood. It's never easy to sell them, but someone needs to do it. So I'm here today to show you how I'm working with, and to propose you to think to do it in your country with your own illustrations. Why not? If you need some information, I will be available to help you, because I think that if we make more books for blind children, we are making our work as humans. And we are first humans and after publishers. Okay, well, I'm Monica from Alboroto. That is my presentation.
Thank you very much. We need the pictures, but I think there's a complication with the technical. I'm very sorry about this, but it's not. The connection is not working, I guess. So, okay, we're getting some help, and you'll have the pictures right now. Thank you very much, Monica, for this nice introduction to the subject. Yes, we'll jump from Mexico to Iran now.
Yeah.
Sahar, thank you very, very much for being here today. You made it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mariella, and hello, everyone. I hope. Shall I stop?
I think.
Just continue.
Because
yes, you just continue. Don't worry about the pictures, okay. Right? Yes.
So I'm from Tutti Books, Iran. But before I start, I just take this time to remind everyone what's happening in my country and how brave women are doing in the streets of Iran, and how proud I am and all of us from our younger generation. They know what rights they have, and they are fighting to gain their own rights. So I want everyone to know about it, and I'm so happy to be to be able to be here, because I think most of our co-publishers couldn't come to Frankfurt because they couldn't get visa, or with Iranian panel just canceled to come. So everyone is staying in Iran. So I'm almost solo stand in Frankfurt Book Fair, and I'm so happy to represent some of our good work that's happening in Iran, and lots of great people are working there. And yeah, just wanted to say that in the beginning of my speech. My company is a Fatemi Book, and we have a small division, Tuti Book. Tuti means parrot, as you can see the bird. And you can remember it. It's a storytelling bird in Iran. In our literature, if you talk about parrot, it means you're telling the story. So that's why we chose it. I'm not going through all these details. We make lots of picture books, and we work on a very special, we try to make different content for very wider range of people. We don't make books specialized for people with disability or things like that, but we are working more on a wider range of diversity of point of view, diversity of ethnic groups, and children in crisis. We are working on to make books for them. So it's different type of making book accessible for a wider audience that we are working on Tuti Books. And can I just stop that and show the video to make it very short? It's one of the projects we just published.
The sky is too huge to fit into maps or even our minds. Somewhere in the sky there were two planets called Corto and Shanto, both of which revolved around the same sun. Corto and Shanto were connected to each other by a huge ancient bridge. The people of these two planets lived together in peace. Until one day, a scientist from Shanto invented a new device with which outer space could be seen clearly. The scientist enthusiastically made a map of the sky and the stars. But this map brought up conflicts among the people of the two planets because the sky of Corto did not look the same. People of Corto became furious, and little by little they began to bandy. Really? Lawyers? How dare they? They're laughing at us. War. A rigid battle ensued on the ancient bridge, and the soldiers of the Corto army entered the Shanto planet and went through the scientist's house. But this was not the end of the story. Two Planets tries to help children towards thinking objectively despite their biases. It also aims to encourage critical thinking and seeing the differences while taking something into account.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we are more working on the different type of content.
Yes. Thank you very much for this. Lulu, your turn.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here, side by side with these two inspiring women. I'm Lulu, I'm an author. I came from Brazil, and I published my books on this company that I founded called Mil Caramiolas. That means 1,000 of ideas. Sorry, English is not my first language, so as an author I can create some words. If I don't understand, please just ask me. As an author, the most of the titles was written by me, but we also bought rights from other countries like Switzerland, Germany, and we love this exchange. And I hope to contribute in these conversations with this point of view of an author that has this empathetic eye for the children, for our society, and how the sensitive subjects can promote transformation. That's why I hope to contribute. And I have also a video there. There is a sound that is presenting the publishing house in a more general way, our last achievements and some of the titles. I think that there is a little sound, but that's okay if it doesn't work. Thank you, Mari.
Okay,
for this invitation.
Thank you very much. Well, we have 3 strong projects from 3 different contexts and cultures and countries. So what I'm interested in, our talk today is about inclusion and accessibility. And what we see sometimes from this European way of looking at inclusion and accessibility is sometimes like just one way. This is inclusion, this is accessibility. So I thought it would be nice to hear what this means in other contexts. And sometimes I work with, I mainly work in Germany, but I also work with other European countries. And what I see is that they think they have a certain view of other countries from the global south, sometimes from other cultures, that are not, you know, it's just like an idea that they have of how they work with this subject. So I thought of asking you, first of all, what does it mean in your country and in your context? What is inclusion and what is accessibility? Is there something you're doing right now about this? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the context and then specifically about your publishing house within this context.
Okay.
Yes. Well, Lulu, I see your face like...
Really?
So you're willing to
no,
speak.
it's happiness. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, maybe Lulu, we can start with you.
Let's start with the context, right? I think in this present moment, our government is, I think that, to be honest, that doesn't have effective laws to protect minority groups, but regarding education, is started to do a good job. For example, we have some laws that make mandatory teaching about, for example, African dissidents, culture and stories on the school. So also indigenous populations on the school. So we are working on these subjects a lot in Brazil. Mm-hmm. And we also have like cultural institutions and NGOs that are also promoting a lot inclusion and expanding this subject, not only about race and indigenous populations, but about equality of genders and fighting against prejudice and other ways. Mm-hmm. Of doing.
So you would say inclusion in this context would mean minorities like indigenous groups and LGBTQ plus and I mean these groups. And what about accessibility? Is there something going on like in the publishing market?
I think that we have a very big challenge as a publishing house because we understand accessibility as make accessible the formats of the books. So we are working on audio books, braille books, how can I say braille books? Braille books, thank you. But until now they are really expensive and we don't have the support. So I think that this is our big challenge, but we doesn't give up, we continue doing. We do that in our publishing house too.
Right, okay. So and within this context, what is your work?
So I brought to you 2 works. The first one is The Whale Boy. Let me see if the chicken opens. It's a story of an autistic children. And as an author, I am always worried about keep the poetry of the story, like the sensitive line, because it's not important to me just talk about the subject, but how I am talking about it. So it's a story about this boy, and there is this metaphor of his inner world. There is a very big sea, and where lives a very big whale. So some of characteristics of this whale, he just brought to himself, like be silent, be more quiet, like a little bit more the darkness. And the book just show his interactions with his friends on the schools, his families, the difficulty of initiate a connection with the other groups, but also promotes a very good empathy, I think. Once I don't have autism, I can read the stars and also find some characters that I already have. So I think that this is very important. And it's called The Whale Boy, and received the AB sale in Brazil and Colombia.
Right. Okay, we'll come back later to the work you do, like for reading promotion, to make those books like more visible. But maybe we jump into
Do you want to
Sahar?
continue?
Would you like to tell us a little bit about these
what's
two
happening
things?
in Iran? About inclusion, we need to include everything at the moment into our market, because a few years ago there was a congress in Sharjah about disabled children's and children's literature, and I had a study all of the books published from 40 years ago until that day, and I realized that disabled children are invisible in our picture books. We don't see them. The picture and the title of my paper was Invisible Children, because we couldn't see any of them. We don't see that much of kids on a wheelchair. I know this movement happened in Europe, but in most of our picture books it's not happening. We don't see kids with glasses that much. And also in Iran is a very big country, and we have a very different type of ethnic groups and different type of skin tone, for example, and face are different, but we don't see them. All of the pictures are white, red cheek, happy children in most of the books. So that's something we are trying to work on, to have more picture of disabled, different disability in the books. We don't see kids with Down syndrome in any of Persian books nowadays, but we are trying to encourage people to do that, other publishing house or in ourselves. And something is very important in that, in Middle East, we have lots of crises. It's either earthquake or lots of wars are happening around us. So we really need to have lots of books regarding different crises that we can go through refugee camps and help all the children. So I'm a member of Children's Book Council of Iran, which is the branch of IB Iran, IBB, International Board on Books for Young People. And IB Iran is one of the oldest, and it's working 60 years now. And we established many projects regarding refugee kids and children in crisis and promoting books for them. So all of these criteria are very important for us to making books, at least to think or to raise awareness in the society, and then maybe other publishers would do the same. So it's something, and of course children with special needs, we have some different organizations are working on creating books for children, like for blind children or kids with mental disables or physical disabilities, but most of these books are not published, not vast published. We are making one or two to showcase, but it's never get published because it's very expensive and we don't have that much of help from our government. It's not like yours, because you get help. We don't get any help to publish it in bigger number. So yeah, all of these areas is very important. And what we are doing in my publishing house, because as I said, I'm a member of IB Iran, EC member of IB Iran, and it's for more than 25 years I've worked in these areas. I'm trying to bring some of the ideas, some of the content that we think it's very necessary, especially otherness is very important in my country. We, in different area of our politics and religious and ethnics, we make some group as others. We see them as others. So we are really trying to put this otherness in our books, this concept that we can tolerate each other and accept each other, and as well as the crisis. Maybe we have a special book about the refugees, which I really love. And if you want, I brought the books. You can have a look at it later. It's a beautiful book.
Yeah,
You are an explorer. Or for kids with mentally disabled, or some kids who have a dyslexia, they are reading disorder they have. We make several wordless picture books, so they can enjoy the books as well. So
Thank you very much. So we see like the different contexts and what accessibility or inclusion or both of them means, like in Brazil and then in Iran. So what's about Mexico?
Mexico.
Tell us about your experience, Monica.
My experience, okay. I have lived in Mexico for the last 5 years, and before that in Venezuela. So if I can tell you about Latin America,
Yes.
yes,
It's better than just Mexico.
It's
Yeah.
not just Mexico. Well, we have a lot of violence, but really, really a lot of violence. So I think that is the worst thing that we need to work with, is how to reach young children that have living with violence. How we would need to speak about these things that matter to them. Okay. We have a government in Mexico that decide that we are available to speak about everything, and they're helping us to reach these people, the children or the families, to speak about violence, to speak about forced migration, to speak about having different language, because in Mexico we have about 25 different languages, and they are giving us the support to make our books in different language. That is very, very important, because this is the way to don't lose the memory of this language. So we're making very new books, very spectacular, and I buy it from Germany, and these books, German books, going to be in the middle of nothing in their language. That's wonderful, because we reach these children with new literature. But that's one part of the accessibility. The truth is that even if the government says that they ask you for these books, the publishers don't do books for them. They make books, and if the government buy, then they publish. Otherwise, the books are in stores and they keep there, and they didn't show to everybody. It's a very Machiavellical way to publish. And the second thing is accessibility. As I show you, I make books for blind children, but not really for blind children. In fact, I make books for all the children, even the blind ones. So that's a different way to see things, because I'm thinking for a whole group and making funny these books, and don't speaking about sadness or problems, or I don't want to make books for to speak about the older children. There are no older children, they are children. And I just want that they can reach the same story in their own way, that's only. But there are children that must be integrated. It's quite different. Our latest innovation, we're making books for, how you say, adivinanzas, is guess who? Guess who books?
Riddles and,
Riddles and guess who books. So I am, it's a very funny books to learn children to use the sign of
right.
Sign language.
sign language. Yes. So it's wonderful, because they are just funny, and every children is learning how to use sight. And for example, this is the sea, and this is an animal that caught the sea. Okay. So for every children, it's very easy to understand that this is a shark, okay? And in the image, you will see that if I do this, I also design the shark, and they will remember this. It's wonderful if every children learn at least 10 words or 20 words in sign language, because they're going to understand how does it works. And it's going to be easier to get in touch with those children that are allowed to speak or to hear. So I think that my work is to make more comfortable classroom that every children can read and have fun reading.
Right, okay. This is your precise work with the publishing house. I wanted to say that all these books you can have a look at them in here. They are all in full one at the invitation program, and Lulu is at the Brazilian collective stand. So, and this is, our conversation now is just to start conversations, so you can visit 3 of them at their booth and talk to them and continue the conversation, because 1 hour to talk about such a huge subject is not enough. But you can get more details there. You can visit them. It's 41H and then, 90, something like that. So you'll see like all those stands there. Okay, so, and because we have less time, I'll just go with one more question, and then I'll just open this for you. Maybe you have questions. We'll do it like more interactive. So my question would be, okay, so you do this work, you are in this context, you do this work. How do you make those books, which is sometimes difficult, like to get out to the market, let's say, how do you make them visible? What is your work behind, or after making those books? Anyone want to answer?
Yes. You was talking about that, no? How to reach the market?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, you want to know how we do to promote the books?
Yes,
or how
the work you do behind.
The work behind. Well, first, I want to say that as an author, we also do a very deep research, because once we are talking about this topic, it's really important to get in touch with this reality. So listen to the children, listen to the doctors, listen to the professionals that are involved. This is the first one. They make part of it. And then when it's finally read, we start to communicate it. So we work with the media. So we talk a lot about the whole process. We invite the people that are with us, the doctors that help us, the illustrators, me and everybody that study the subject, talk about this, about the purpose, about the challenges, about how we approach the subject on the book. So I think that behind the story there is the whole story, and I think that we like to show this to the people.
Make that visible.
Make that visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I have no promotion at all. I'm too old. So
you told me you went to Tijuana to train multipliers and facilitators. So you do your.
Not really, but what I make is I make books, and they take their own life. And I don't make bestsellers, but I make long sellers. Every book that I have made is still alive. So we sell for this one more than 1 million books, and I never been in TV or something like that. But I make books that people need. And when you need a book, you will find it. So I'm not worried about that.
That's an attitude.
Yeah.
Very
That's
good.
a great
Thank
attitude.
you. Yes.
We are worried,
Like
but we are really worried about that, because you have to, as a business, you have to continue. You have to sell one book to be able to publish another one. So
Well, she sold 1 million, like.
Yeah.
But I think to government, but not.
No. I didn't say about governments. Governments are coming and going. No, it's the La Bouche à l'Oreille
Oral publicity, like
oral publicity.
mouth to
I
mouth.
bought this book and I like it, and someone said, "Me too," and it takes a long time to do it. Not today. I sell in 15 years, okay, but it's still selling, and that's wonderful. They're still looking for you and giving the money to make another book. So in 15 years, I'm going to have a lot of millions books. That's wonderful.
Okay, Sahar, you wanted to add
Fantastic.
something?
So I think we have all research, of course, and all the experience. There are lots of great people helping us making our books, but we have lots of sales strategy. We use many different ways because we have the translation parts that are selling much better than the original titles. So they can help us in some way to gain money, to be able to publish books that we think has a niche market sometimes, very niche market. And what we are doing, we are asking, there are lots of reading promoters in Iran. They are working with different NGOs and different organizations, so they are willing, if you send them books, and they are friends with us, lots of them, member of CBC, Children's Book Council, so we work with them, and they help us to introduce these books through their social medias. Of course, these days are not working in Iran, but used to be lots of promotion in social medias. We make these sort of very short videos sometimes for some of our titles that we think it needs more introduction and needs more explanation. But I think all of our books need really explanation and needs to go through with them, with the children, and talk with them afterwards. So that's something that we encourage all the promoters are working with us to do, to go to the different school and different areas to work with children. And also we have our own social medias, and we try really hard to talk about our books, to tell everyone that's why we decided to go through this project. Because some of the projects, for example, we published a book, it's translation about children's rights. I have a right to be a child from the Rudamond publishing house. And it took us very long time to get through the sale, because we had to kind of teach the public that why we need to have these books in this country and situation. But now it's one of our books that is selling very well. So we tried hard to talk with people, and in some way we educate our audience. For example, regarding the wordless picture book, it was very difficult to get through the market. The market in Iran is not that familiar with this. There is no word. Or there is one line, is why I have to pay lots of money for that. But nowadays people are asking for more books like this, and lots of publishing houses are starting even to create wordless picture books. So in a way we are trying hard to do our social responsibility, not just publishing books, do something in our societies.
Perfect.
Thank you. Very nice contributions. Questions. I think it would be nice if you ask. This women. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I just was wondering, talking about these really beautiful books that are touchable for blind people or not good seeing people. But do you also work with digital editions and put like an audio on the side that reads the book to the children, or do you use the new media to get in touch with children that need to have different books?
I have made the digital book of the Black Book for Colors with audio, and I don't feel okay. It's just, I'm the older generation, and I love paper. But more than paper, I love the moment to be with the children and share the time to read. And I think that when you give to someone these audiobooks or say this, digital books. And normally you give to the children, take your iPad, and I'm still making my things. So he discovered themselves, and they use it. I have sell a lot of my books to Pivoco. There is a company that makes digital books, but I don't feel that I like it.
I was just wondering if it could be a combination.
Can I just?
Yes, maybe we.
Yes.
They wanted to say something
please,
as well? Yeah,
do it.
you go.
I have a book, if you have the pictures, it's The Boy in the Sea, that we did it. And I think that it was really good, performing really well. We do the book, the printed one, and we do the audio book with audio descriptions of the images, but keeping all the poetry of the images, because this is a very visual booking. It's a booking for feeling. So as an author, I was taking care of each word with the purpose to make impact, what you are listening, make impact. And I work with an organization in Brazil that works with people that cannot hear.
Deaf.
Exactly.
Deaf.
So we work together to create this material. And we, yes, they are specialized on do content to people that have this disability. So they received our material and work with us to create the best version. Then we put it free on Spotify and other platforms. And we, of course, share the message with the intention that arrives on the people that really need. And I think that it was spectacular doing part of this project. I would like to do more. As I said in the beginning, it's very expensive. We would like maybe to receive more support for doing that with all of the books.
Yeah. And I just, in the Children's Book Council of Iran, we have this, the project just started, because for a long time, they made the book audio. We have lots of members in EB Iran that they are blind, so we wanted them to have a share, but it was just audio. But now, from last year, there was a project started, and I think they are beautiful. They get in touch with several publishing house, ask the permission to use their books. For example, they are using 4 of our books, and they, as you said, they are picture reading the books, not just audio. They are explaining the books, and one of the guy who's doing it, he's blind himself. So someone explained to him what is the books, and then they are working with several blind schools to see this explanation of illustration should be in a very beautiful voice, because it's part of the story. They read the story, and page by page they talk about what we see here. There is a tree, there is a bird is flying, but in a very beautiful tone that a child doesn't feel that they are having something. As adults and as someone who can see, I love to hear about, and they did one of our books, this one, and it's very interesting for me because in this book, the text is in contrast with what we see in the image, and I was so interested to see how they are going to tell that to the blind person, but they did, and it was beautiful. It's a project they just started. They did it in Farsi, and we are hoping that they are going to put it free in different areas to get feedbacks, and if we get a good feedback from all these blind schools and schools that working with blind children, sorry, not blind schools, and we are going to write it down to EB and make an English translation and put it down for everyone to use it, because I think it's very important that we understand that picture book is the whole things is matters, and when we make it just audio, blind children are losing lots. But if we can find the right way to explain the pictures to them, then they may enjoy the whole idea of the picture books. Yeah. So it's happening as a research project in Iran at the moment. Yeah.
I think we are running out of time. I'm afraid we have to speed up a little bit. So maybe one more question before we finish. Yes.
Hello, I'm also from Iran.
Oh, good.
Not with your experience, just started, and I think everyone is just admiring what is happening, like a professional woman with this work coming from Iran, presenting the work. I think we have to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, like, I think for audience, like, when we are focusing on children's books, because I'm coming from research background, but from children's perspective, and when we are focusing on, like, not authorship, but translation and adaptation, I have loads of problems to find professionals who know the language of children. Do we have any good material, resource or something that we can use to understand, like, how can be a sentence simple and understandable for kids age 4? Or how can illustration be at least, easy to grasp for that age group? Not only in art, but a bit of like a structure when you are making a decision, like how to translate the material or how to build an image for a certain text. Because not everyone is like as artists.
I'm very curious what you're going to say about this, because I know your work. So, so just how do you make like this?
Criteria.
Yes, like if I understand it right, so I'm just going to try to transform the question a little bit so that to see if we understood it like the right way. So, how do you make a book which might be more complicated to or a subject maybe? How to transform that into a simpler language for children? Yeah, is it that? Right.
I'm not sure that we need to be simpler. Children are very complicated. As Thierry Manier said, there is no art for adults or art for children. You only have art. The same for books. You have books for adults, books for children, but in fact you only have books that can reach different persons. When sometimes we make a book for children, thinking that a children of 4 years is going to like it, and finally it's the father who buys it, the father who really likes the books.
Yes.
And sometimes you make a book for someone of 10 years old, and it's his little brother who really loves and have 4 years. So one thing that I just want to suggest is don't make books for a specific age. Make wonderful books, and you will find the readers, the good reader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you in some parts, but I think we need some books that are specific for different ages. If you are going to, for example, alphabet books or content-based book that you want to teach kids some sort of meaning. But I think it's if you want looking for a textbook in that area for research, there are several textbooks that are working in different criteria. For example, which sort of books is good for age before 2 years old, what sort of image, for example, we need more realistic, and older we can have more abstract books. So there are lots of textbooks, and I think you can find it. And regarding the disability, it depends for which audience we are working. For example, if you are creating picture books for autism children, I just realized that we cannot cut the image. Mm-hmm. Because it's very difficult for them to, and sometimes it scares them if you put parts of the body. They just think the character doesn't have the rest. So it's really, or if you are working for kids with mental, it really depends what the degree of their illness. Yes. And for what part of the illness you are working and making books, because sometimes for this sort of kids you need really simple, really simple work. And there is in Iran there is a library, they are Ershad library. They are very famous to making books for making simple books. They buy original books, and because they work with these mentally impaired children, they know how to change the words to a very simpler one than even refugee kids can enjoy, because they don't know the language. They may enjoy this type of books easier, and kids with different mental illness or Down syndrome kids, they can use these books.
Okay, anything to add? Because I think we have to finish. We can continue the conversation afterwards. I mean, like, yes.
No, I think that regarding simplicity, I think that sometimes I used to say that the book grows with the children. Because when you are reading for the first time and you are young, you can understand or feel the book in a certain way. But if the book remains in that room because the children love the books, after 1 year or two, they start to discover more and more about the sense, the metaphors. So it's a new book for a new children. It's the same, but now it's different. So I think that we have to believe on that children and believe what she said, believe in what you are creating, you know? Explore these possibilities.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's a lot to say about this. As I said, this is just a starting conversation. You can visit Lulu, Sahar, and Monica in their booths and be curious, go and see the books, talk to them. They have a lot to say. So, and thank you very much for being here, for asking, for participating, and I hope you enjoyed the contributions. Thank you very much.